I didn't need much motivation when it came to drafting my first will shortly after my son was born. Now, 21 years on, with him finished university and working full-time, we needed new wills to cater for our changed circumstances. But somehow we sort of just didn't get round to doing so. I think people have trouble thinking about their own mortality. Ellie Pressman, the will writer helping us to update our wills, told us, and I think he's right. At the time of my first will, my wife and I were both working. We had pension plans and some savings and life insurance, and I wanted everything to go to my wife Judith. That is, all of the assets and all of the responsibilities. But the hardest decisions were about control. Who would bring up our little boy in the event that, supposing we both died as a result of an accident? Who would take care of the money we'd left for him? Many people drawing up a will are only thinking about who will get the money. But it's a lot more complicated than that when you have to decide between a sister or a brother-in-law or who's going to be the guardian of our child. So when our son was about to turn 21, we started considering our new wills and we met up with Ellie. Now he told us what was involved in drafting a new will: selecting trustees, executors, dealing with inheritance tax, and maybe setting up a trust. Well, we waffled and ummed and ahed, and we met with a couple of other solicitors and will writers, and well, quite frankly, we put the task back on the back burner where it sat there for a few weeks. Ellie rang us up and motivated us to try again. He explained the new issues we'd have to consider, such as the possibility that we'll have a daughter-in-law one day, and maybe even grandchildren. And this potential future family ought to be accounted for even before we even know who they are. He told us, look, you want to protect your bloodline and not have your son's inheritance at risk to your daughter-in-law walking off with all your money if the marriage doesn't actually work out. Now, I've heard of these horror stories before, and I didn't realise you could actually do something about it. Knowing our life's work will never leave our direct family is an absolute relief. Even though we believe our son is sensible and streetwise, we wouldn't want him to suddenly find himself with an inheritance he could easily blow away. So, at Ellie's suggestion, we have established terms in our trusts for a trustee who would give him access to the money at 3 stages over the next few decades. And that's if we're not here to spend it ourselves. Now, my wife and I also had Ellie draw up lasting power of attorney documents for both of us. Now, Ellie explained the problems if one or both of us were to lose capacity as a result of an accident or illness. And by the way, my wife's mother suffered dementia in her later years, so this has always been the back of my mind. I've got to say, Ellie was extremely helpful. He paid close attention to our concerns, and like other professionals who we saw, quite frankly, they talked down to us. Today we can actually sleep well knowing that if anything should happen to us, we won't be leaving behind us a financial mess.